How long have you been married?
11 years.
13.
16. My number one best advice was never say no in terms of sex. Oh. And I was like, girl, that's crazy. I can't never say no. I be tired.
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It always protects, always hopes, and always perseveres. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 and 7. With that said, welcome back to Annie's Girls. Today we are celebrating the good old Black love. With the summer wedding season right around the corner, we wanted to go ahead and jumpstart the season of love by having two beautiful couples on to share their love for one another. With that said, Yannick, please take it away.
All right. So it gives me great pleasure. I'm actually honored to be able to introduce our guests today. Both of these guests are very dear to my heart. I've known them. I start getting worked up already. Kiki, don't talk about me. But I've known them for, over 20 years. And so Constance Monique Robinson is one of my best friends, and she has her husband, Mr. Everett Holmes. So now she is Constance Holmes. And then I don't even have the words to explain my other parents, Mr. Ed and Mrs. Elaine Robinson. We are so elated to have you today to join us. And I just want to take an opportunity first to say thank you for joining us. And so, Mr. and Mrs. Robinson, if you wouldn't mind just maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been married, how did you meet, and take it off.
Well, Sweetie, I'll defer to you in regard to how long that we've been married, and I will follow up with how we met.
Okay. We've been married 41 years, happily married.
For the most part.
Very happy couple. We love each other still.
Wonderful.
And that's about it.
And well, the second part of your question, Yannick, was how did we meet?
Yes.
I met this young lady in Youngstown, Ohio, many moons ago. When I first saw her, she was coming out of her parents' house. And speaking of house, she was put together pretty much like a brick house at that time. So that's what initially caught my attention. And she was a young sales lady, a clerk going to school, working at a men's tailor shop. And I happened to be going there to look for something to purchase. And the first look that I got was from her. Mm-hmm. And from that point on, I was interested. And I intended to make sure that I made a follow-up to her. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how things got started.
All right. Wonderful. 41 years. That is awesome. You don't hear of that much anymore now. So that is amazing. All right. So next we have Mr. and Mrs. Holmes.
Yeah, that's all you. Okay. So Everett and I have been together for a little over 3 years, or coming up on 3 years in July. But we've been married for 5 months and 4 days. So we'll be celebrating our 6-month anniversary on the 7th of May. But we actually have Yannick to thank for our meetup, actually, because she introduced me to a dating site called Bumble. And we were in Dallas together for a friend's baby shower, and we went out to eat, and we were just kind of talking about the dating scene and how I was kind of over it, and she was kind of over it. And she said, well, have you tried Bumble? And I said, no, I never heard of it. And she kind of explained it to me a little bit and how it works. I was like, okay, well, you know, I've tried all the other ones, so I'll give this one a try too. So I went home and I logged in, and I didn't really find much on there, and I saw Everett on there. But the way that Bumble works, you know, you have like 24 hours to accept someone's, you know, if you guys are a match, you have some like 24 hours to accept that person's, you know, request or whatever. And let him tell it, you know, I waited until the very last second to accept.
It was 24 minutes remaining.
And so he had pretty much given up on me, I guess. And then when I accepted, we started talking, and I think maybe we communicated like maybe one time on the app itself, and he was pretty much over it and was like, I don't do this very often. Can you just call me? So he had a kind of a funny response about me, about him asking me to call him. What did I say?
He said something along the lines of, well, I'm old fashioned, so if you want to talk, here's my number, so you call me.
That's funny. Yep.
Oh, okay, this is gonna be fun.
And did you call?
I called.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Wow.
So he called, and, you know, we chatted, and pretty much our very first conversation was, you know, what is it that you want? He asked me, what are you looking for? And I specifically said, I'm looking for a husband.
Okay.
And, you know, he didn't hang up the phone, and we kept talking. So, you know, here we are now. It's been an interesting road. It's been a loving road. It's been a fun road. We've had, you know, a lot of good times, definitely growing pains, but both of us have known what we wanted from the very beginning. And I think by verbalizing that up front, it made it easy, because we knew there was no secrets. There were no, you know, underlying, you know, other intentions. We knew what we wanted, and we just kind of went for it.
That is awesome. Awesome. Like I said, I've known Connie, we hung out together in high school. So we've seen the worst and the best of each other. But when I met Everett, it just was like, oh my gosh, this is him. I mean, because he was so patient, kind, and just got along with everybody. Funny. It's almost like we've all known each other. He's already been part of our group, or our little clique of friends. So that's awesome. Thank you both for introducing yourself. So next, I'll give it to Shavisha.
Thank you. Beautiful stories. I had no idea that you guys met on Bumble. That is awesome. That's good to hear, because I know a lot of people are struggling, you know, with the dating scene, and then they don't want to try the internet or whatever. But those are great stories. Now we're going to play a game, and it's going to be like rapid fire, real quick. You cannot talk. If you've watched some of the TikToks, it's one of the quick, you know, you point to the person who you think this is this person, you know, who you think is this or who you think is that. So you're going to point to each other as I ask you the games. Okay, Mr. E, you guys got it? Miss Elaine, you got, okay, we're good. Connie and Everett, all right. So here we go. Who said I love you first? Who spends the most money? Who snores the loudest? Who is the most romantic? Who cooks the best? Who is the best driver? Who is the better dancer? Oh. Who is likely to apologize or make up first? Who made the first move, like kiss or whatever? Who planned the first date? Who takes the longest to get ready? We already know that, because today. And who is likely to sleep in on the weekend? Miss Elaine, you all gonna point to yourself. You ain't gonna admit it. All right, thank you all so much. Hopefully you guys didn't surprise each other with any of the answers. Y'all all seem to agree on most of it, so that's great. All right, we're going next to Miss Kim Yara.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm going to ask the first question. I guess I'll go with Mr. and Mrs. E first, and then I'll go with Connie and her husband. And it's a two-part question. And what is the most challenging part of being married? And then turn around and answer, what is the most rewarding part of being married? Mr. and Mrs. E?
As far as challenging, I think it would probably be patience, as well as consideration, open consideration for your mate, and making sure that regardless of the agenda or what is required, what happens to be the task at hand, that you are considerate of your mate and where their needs are. Because most of us start off as very self-centered babies, demanding attention in our bottle. So you have to grow and mature into that with one that's important and significant to you.
Great answer. I totally agree. Consideration is a big thing. What about you, Connie and Everett? What's the most challenging?
I would say just marriage in general is, I think the assumption is just because you become married, you completely know your spouse forwards and backwards, and that just is not the case. I would say the challenging part is continuing to get to know and understanding that that person you fell in love with, that person you married on that particular day, that next year may be totally different. And she may like different things, and you hope that you continue to be able to grow as a couple. That when you continue to learn about each other, continue to enjoy each other, and to kind of not get into a rut, I guess would be the same. Continue to do things, continue to date. And that's I think that's a major part that gets lost. You still got to date.
Yes, dating is important. But no, I think for adult couples, for those of us who get into relationships as adults, we have lived, I'm not going to say my age, but, many years as a single person doing things your way and the way that's most comfortable and convenient for you. And I think as an adult couple, that can be difficult because I'm used to doing things my way. He's used to doing things his way. And not that I expect me from him, but I think we as humans, we just kind of look at it like that. Like, why don't you do it that way? Because that's the way you're used to seeing it done. And, anything from cleaning to cooking to taking care of tasks to work-life balance to kids, all of those things you're used to doing them one particular way. But once you become married and you become one, you kind of have to find balance in between, my way, your way, so that we can make everybody happy and still get things done. So I think that has been my most challenging thing for being married. And then everything is just doing things together is the rewarding part. You have a partner now, you have a buddy, You know, I have lots, he teases me all the time. You got so many best friends, but he's my best friend too. I tell him that all the time. He's like, how am I your best friend if you have so many best friends already? But we really are friends. Like, we just have a good time. I tell him all the time, he's like, oh, we should invite people over. No, actually, I'm good. We don't have to bring people over. I'm happy just hanging out with him. Sometimes I don't want to, his word is peopling. Like, I don't want to people all the time. Sometimes I just want to hang out with my buddy, and, you know, we do things how we do them. We don't have to really accommodate anybody else. And I think that's probably the most rewarding part of being married, is having a best friend. And, you know, he accepts me for who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, bonnets, braids, everything. He accepts all of that. And I appreciate that, you know, and same for me. I accept him for who he is. And I'm happy that he is who he is. So
I was like, get my haircuts on time.
yes, get those haircuts. Those haircuts are important. That's part of the dating process. Get that haircut. I get my hair done, you get your haircut.
That's right. What about you, Mr. and Mrs. E?
We've put a lot of work in staying in love and being supportive of each other. And it has not been easy, but it was very rewarding that we are still together today because we support each other so much. So,
Right.
you know, we keep our date nights every Friday. We've been dating since we moved to San Antonio. We still keep our date nights on Friday.
They were doing that when we were younger. I just remember me and Connie, we would all be together just hanging out, and they would be flirting, and we're like, ew, get somewhere. Like, what is this? We appreciate it now, but they've always done that. They've always flirted. They've always going out to the movies on Fridays or cooking dinner. And I just enjoyed watching that. I did. So I just wanted to say that.
And Yannick, as my wife mentioned, part of the sowing process has rendered that kind of harvest, which has been, of course, rewarding for us. And then there was a point in time as a young rogue, I didn't necessarily see that as being important, but as we came together and we were married, and responsibilities of our children growing, there had to be a certain amount of time that was carved out for us to be able to to rekindle, if you will. And then it came to a point where when we were discussing things that we were interested in, I no longer had any veto power anyway, so I had to go along with the agenda that she put in place, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Well, thank you all for letting us know what you find challenging and rewarding. So this is going to be for Mr. and Mrs. E, because you all have been married for such a good, a long time. What is your secret to maintaining a healthy marriage outside of date night on Friday nights, we've heard, but what else is something that you all think is near and dear in regards to keeping and maintaining a healthy marriage?
Well, honey, if I may,
Go ahead.
it's
Go ahead.
It's almost like the resounding luck of a four-leaf clover, and each one of those petals being critically important. One being love, the Lord, laughter, and support during struggle. Yeah. And that has been a boilerplate, if you will, in securing what we've been able to work on and try and do together to move forward in our marriage.
I love that. I definitely love that. Miss E, anything you want to add?
Well, I'd just like to say, loving your mate is so important. There's good times, there's bad times. You just got to be there to support them, love them, and understand that love is real.
Even when it's tough.
Even when it's tough.
Absolutely, definitely. Well, I saw Everett with his note taking, I think. So
Take notes.
for sure. So it's definitely a goal of mine to be married for as long as you all, for sure. So, Yannick, I think that the next one is yours.
Yeah, so this next question is for Connie and Everett. So I know that you all recently just got married. And so how was it planning a wedding during this pandemic? What challenges did you face?
Everything was a challenge. Everything was a challenge. If you can't imagine, I mean, for those of us who plan weddings, it's already stressful. It's always too many things happening, not enough time to get everything done. Something always gets left behind. But imagine that with extra stipulations, I guess nationwide, worldwide pandemic. We can't have so many people. They keep changing. We never know if they're going to cancel us or not. If they cancel, are you going to get a refund of all of the money that we put in? That was probably our biggest fear. And as it got closer to the actual wedding, we really started to sweat a little bit because we weren't sure, like, well, what if they say, we've already sent out invitations. What if they say, oh, by the way, we can't have this number of people and we've already invited these people. So unfortunately, we had to uninvite some people because they came back to us, I don't know, maybe like a month before and said, yeah, just kidding. You can't have that number of people. You're going to have to cut your list. And we're going to have to separate your guests. Half of your guests are going to be in one room. Half of your guests are going to be in another room. So you figure out how you want to split your guests up and how are you going to uninvite these people that you've already invited. So that was probably the worst part, the most heartbreaking part, because you want everyone, I do have a lot of friends and there's a lot of people, you have friends in your life that mean different things in your life. And, we've all had struggles in relationships, and there were a lot of people who were rooting for this relationship because of so many struggles that I've had in relationships, and I'm sure those that he's had also. And you want those people to be a part of it. So it was really heartbreaking to have to tell people, I'm sorry, you can't come. And of course, people are understanding because they understand this pandemic, and that was expected. For most people, we got a lot of understanding, and it's okay, no problem. Luckily, we were able to stream our wedding for those people who weren't able to participate and weren't able to come. And then, of course, for those of you who've had weddings, we could have still invited those people because there were people who said they were going to come and didn't show up. So we still ended up having available seats. But of course, you never know that until it actually happens. But it was beautiful and magical and everything little girls dream about anyway, no matter what. I'm definitely pleased at the outcome of our wedding.
And expensive.
Oh, here we go.
Well, yeah, so definitely it was beautiful. I'm glad that I was able to be a part of it as well. We couldn't see any of those challenges because everything to us seemed to have just ran smoothly. So it was great.
Yay!
Yeah, when you're planning those weddings, I remember telling my husband, I don't care if it's just me and you. I mean, if they late, they don't show up at the end of the day. You want everybody. So like you said, you want everybody to be there, but your main goal is the two of you. And so thank you all so much for all of those words of wisdom. Loved everything that you said. Agree with everything that you guys said. Beautiful. I have one more question in regards to Everett and Connie. Of course, I only know you guys as a couple through internet, through Facebook, and I see that you have such a beautiful family. And the question that I have for you is, what advice would you give someone who is considering marrying someone and they have to blend their families? And you might want to tell us a little bit about that, because I know, but those watching may not.
Oh yeah. So just a little background. I have I have 3 older children. 28, 20, and 18. And of course now I have Ayla as well, who's 9 going on 36. But I would say throughout the whole thing, the biggest thing would be patience. Let the kids take their time to get to know each other, to really look within themselves to see how they feel about this new person coming into my life. But that's in essence, that's what you're doing. That's what I did. I stepped into Ayla's life, into her home. And so it was up to me to make sure that once she felt comfortable with me being there, that I didn't try to rush and try to, assert myself into being saying, well, I'm the man of the house right now. I didn't do any of that. I just took my time. Those of you that know Ayla does it. She's not going to come around too quick.
It's my little baby.
Not going to come around quick, but I think we bonded, and she's kind of looks to me as that person she can depend on, and we joke around and play together. That's my little buddy there now. That's my little buddy. And then the same thing with my older daughter, because initially she was not having it.
She was not a fan of Connie. Let's say that. She was not a fan.
But at the time, Connie continued to reach out, offer support, let her know that she was available for her whenever she needed her. And lo and behold, they're shopping together, talking about hair products and everything together. So that really played a big part into the one thing that I really look forward to in our relationship is peace. Now that I know my kids are good and happy with it, Ayla is comfortable and happy with it. That's everything for me right there.
And I was very concerned for those. Well, Yannick, I think you probably know the story, but the night that Everett proposed, it was just us. It was me and my parents and Everett. And we went to Dallas, and we had, he had planned this dinner and everything. And we were having a good time. And it was the end of the dinner. And then I guess that's when he had planned to propose. And my baby broke into tears. Like, pretty much the night shut down because she was just so overwhelmed with the idea. I mean, she was cool with Everett. Like, she didn't have any issues with him. I mean, she liked him enough, she was cordial to him, but she definitely wasn't ready for the idea. And in her young 8-year-old mind at that time, I asked her, I said, why are you upset? What's the issue? She was like, I don't want him to take you away from me. And so that was her concern. And that, I mean, Yannick, Ayla, she doesn't cry. Like, she's a little adult. Like, I can probably count how many times she's actually had a full-on meltdown in her 9 years of life. And that was a full-on meltdown. Like, the whole night was shut down after that. And so, but from that day, since then, it's just been a complete turnaround. That they are best buddies. They do stuff together. And, she comes looking for him before she comes looking for me. Like, well, where's he at? And I'm like, when is he coming home? So it's good. And the same goes for his kids. Of course, they're older, so the dynamic is a little different. And then they don't live here with us. But his daughter was probably the biggest obstacle because, again, mommy's girl. I get it. But we had one lunch date, and after that lunch date, we kind of laid everything out on the table. Like, I asked her, what exactly is your concern? What is your apprehension with me? Have I done something to offend you? Did I do something to hurt you? I want you to know that I love your dad, and anything that revolves around him is important to me. If it's important to him, it's important to me, which means you too. And she actually was very transparent by saying, I just needed to get myself together. I needed to wrap my head around what was going on. And she apologized for, some of the things that were said, some of the way that she had treated me. And I could appreciate that. And, we're both adults, and we squashed it. And ever since then, we're good to go. And his son is him. Just loving guys. There was no issue with him. He's been my buddy since day one. So. Yeah. But it's hard, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Awesome. Kimyar?
Well, I want to thank the guests for sharing all of this wonderful information. I almost feel like, we should have a couples night out just to pick each other's brain, because it's been such great information or whatever. And I hate for it to end, already it's ending too soon. But anyway, I want to say, okay, well, you have it. You've heard it from some of the best. And now we know that Black love is still striving and thriving. But it's just like any other love. We've learned that Black love is patient. Black love is supportive. Black love is tolerance. Black love is respect. And it's healthy. And most of all, Black love is exceptional. To me, it is anyway. And you can see as it is represented here. And it's also something that should be represented and celebrated. I think so, on a daily basis. So I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Annie's Girls. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.